Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Aim to be a Pokemon Master Episode 6, and we gaze at the same moon. This was the 1227th episode of the Pokemon anime, the 142nd episode of Pokemon Journeys, and I think my favorite episode of this mini-series so far. Green Tornado didn't love it, but fair enough, that's their opinion. Be sure to let me know what you thought about this episode down in the comments. Alright, there's not a ton of action to recap this week, so let's get through this. Ash and friends are taking a stop in the middle of nowhere, but Ash and Pikachu are taking a little naparino, which gets rudely interrupted by a net coming from out of nowhere, and you'll never believe it, it's Team Rocket once again. We get just another standard Team Rocket evil scheme, but when they start trying to pull in their catch of the day, Ash calls out Snivy to help, and her Leaf Storm does cut through the net, but while Ash falls right out, Pikachu's tail gets caught up in the net. It's red alert for Team Rocket thanks to the Leaf Storm, and they go blasting off again, but hold on, they're not alone. Pikachu is gone with them, and just when things couldn't get any worse, another part of their mecha blows up, redirecting Meowth and Pikachu away from the others. They end up in a river getting chased by a Gyarados. I have no clue how they were able to outswim this Gyarados or how they were able to use Waterfall to get out of harm's way, but I guess Adrenaline can do some pretty crazy things. Now that they're safe, Pikachu and Meowth call a truce for now. We know Meowth still has evil intentions, but for now they just want to find the others. Pikachu starts running off towards Ash, and we see Ash running towards Pikachu. Somehow they're both confident in where the other one is. Meowth can't keep up the pace though and wants to stop and eat. There's an Oranberry tree nearby which looks pretty promising, but Meowth throws a rock at the Pidgey who are snacking on his Oranberries. His rock throw ends up hitting a Spearow. Hey, never seen this before, but Pikachu steps in and goes way extra on the Thunderbolt. This brings in a whole flock of Spearow. They chase after Meowth and Pikachu and end up sending them flying into a cave. Checking back in with our human friends, they find the same Oranberry tree which Ash knows got electrocuted by Pikachu's Thunderbolt. The flock of Spearow are still angry, so they start chasing these guys as well. The original Spearow gets in their path, but ends up getting blown away along with our heroes by the other Spearow. Back with the others, Pikachu has lost Ash's hat, but a nearby Caterpie tells them it knows where Ash's hat is and starts leading them to it. We'll catch up with them later, but for now we see Ash and friends interacting with the Spearow that got mixed up with them. And it's injured. As you'd expect, Doc Brock to the rescue once again, but while this is happening, a Rattata comes from out of nowhere to steal some of Ash's food, but in a surprising turn of events, Ash actually befriends the Rattata, and asks if it could help lead them to Pikachu's scent. This unlikely group sets off together, but what about the other unlikely group? Oh yeah, Meowth is getting tired of going too slow this time, so everyone hops on his back, and Caterpie takes them for the ride of a lifetime by using String Shot to swing from tree to tree, and this takes him to the base of some other tree. And guess what? Ash's hat is atop this one, but when Pikachu goes to retrieve it, he has to sneak past a horde of sleeping Venipede. He succeeds, but just before they're in the clear, a leaf falls onto Meowth, and oh no, Caterpie knows what's coming. Meowth unleashes an almighty sneeze that echoes through the valley, and the Venipede are not happy, but Caterpie does get them out of dodge, but not before Meowth gets drilled with a poison sting during their escape. Later, Rattata has led this group to the same tree, and the Venipedes still aren't happy. Not sure why they didn't just send out another one of their Pokemon to deal with this. Instead, they let Rattata and Spearow sacrifice themselves as they run off towards Pikachu's scent. Cut to that night, and Meowth is in a bad way after getting poisoned by the Venipede. Pikachu and Caterpie are like, hey, we should go find a Pecha Berry, and a helpful Oddish comes along to take them to one. Elsewhere, Ash and friends are calling it a night, but they look like they're pretty close to where Pikachu and Meowth are located if I'm being honest. Speaking of those two, Pikachu returns with a Pecha Berry, and Meowth is pretty emotional about this act of kindness, but since he's supposed to be evil, he just pretends not to care and goes to sleep. Pikachu and Caterpie stand on a nearby rock and stare up at the moon, and oh, would you look at that? Pikachu is envisioning Ash on the moon, and likewise, Ash is staring into the sky as well, thinking about Pikachu. I mean, this episode was literally titled Gazing at the Same Moon, so this checks out. Brock and Misty give some exposition about how close Ash and Pikachu's bond is. This whole scene is super cheesy, but I loved it, especially when an insert song started playing as we see some old Ash and Pikachu moments, some of which were really random, but hey, whatever, it was a nice moment. The next morning, it's time to eat some berries for breakfast. Both groups coincidentally have some of these same berries, and oh my gosh, guys, you'll never believe this. So Ash and Pikachu instinctively break their berry in half because they're so used to sharing their food with one another. Oh my gosh, it's so cute, and doing this at the same time almost gives us some kind of signal. The two start sprinting towards each other, and they eventually meet, jumping into each other's arms. Wow. This heartwarming moment is made even better by Pikachu's affectionate electric shock, and Ash thanks Pikachu for bringing back his hat. However, when these two idiots jumped into each other's arms, they also jumped off a cliff. Wow. They seem pretty scared, but there's no need to worry. Something is coming to save them. them. I can't quite make out what it is, but it does whisk them away to safety at the last minute, dropping them off and then flying away. Nobody seems to spend more than 2 seconds thinking about what invisible force just saved Ash and Pikachu. They're just happy to be reunited. Speaking of which, Jessie and James came to reunite with Meowth. They're just happy to have their friend back, so they don't even bother trying to steal Pikachu anymore. And with that, all's well that ends well, and the episode comes to a very happy ending. Well, that recap took longer than I thought it would. I mean, this episode went basically exactly how I expected it would. All of it was throwbacks and references, and clearly the focus was on emotions, not action. And since we've seen this kind of episode so many times before, the plot really didn't do anything for me. Like, how many times have we seen people get split up from their friends and mixed up with Team Rocket only to find their way back together by the end of the episode? It happens a lot, and it's usually an effective storytelling device, and I suppose it did the job again in this episode. With this miniseries being the epilogue to Ash and Pikachu's story, it's only right that we get some sappy moments about the two of them. I was obviously exaggerating with my retelling of some of the events in this episode. I'm not the most emotional person in the world, so I don't really get moved that easily, but I can't deny that it was a nice episode focusing on Ash and Pikachu's relationship. So I don't know, even if it was just a retread of a lot of storytelling tropes that we've seen before in the Pokemon anime, it still executed all those tropes well and created a heartwarming episode. So for that, I'm giving this episode a 7.5 out of 10 rating. And I was really torn about what to rate this episode, so I'll be curious to read all of your ratings down in the comments. I'm guessing they will be all over the place. Aim to be a Pokemon master has certainly created some strong opinions one way or another, and this episode did nothing to change that. I mean, this conversation from my Discord server earlier today kind of epitomizes that. You can pause and read the whole thing if you want to, but one person can appreciate the finer details and references in the episode, one person can be really underwhelmed by this series, and another person is just happy for the nostalgic fan service. I'm not quite sure where I fall on that spectrum. Like, I can appreciate the series for what it is and enjoy each episode a lot, but I can also feel a little disappointed in the fact that this was hyped up as Ash and Pikachu's final goodbye to the anime, and it's just been... I don't know, and I don't want to totally crucify it when it's only halfway done. I'm very curious to see how the rest of the series plays out. That starts with the next episode, which looks pretty exciting. There's going to be a lot of interesting returning Pokemon, the most noteworthy being Ash's Lapras. This should be a cool reunion if nothing else. I'm sure the plot will be nothing special once again. As expected, the anime released some news about Roy today as well, nothing too substantial in my opinion, so I don't really have any thoughts on it. If you do want to chat about the upcoming anime series with me, come on over to my Discord server. I gave you an example of a conversation in there earlier, but we talk about so much more than just the Pokemon anime. Right now, I need help finding people who are going to be willing to practice Gen 6 double battles with me. I need to prepare for the upcoming Pichu Bros Showdown tournament with my Discord friends. Thanks as always for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I know I tend to promise a lot of upcoming videos, and I'm really slow at delivering on those promises sometimes, but my Kalos Gym Rankings video should be finished coming out this week, which I know a lot of people are looking forward to. I'll see you guys next time.
Not a fighting type move. Use rhythm.